Welcome back. I am back. Was sick most of the week, but here I am. Still alive. Barely. But alive nonetheless. And it is just in time for the greatest weekend in college football each and every single year. Rivalry week. The greats do battle. Campus heroes become campus legends. Coaches either put out the flames under their seat or the heat gets ramped up to unbearable temperature. Rivalry week is here, ladies and gentlemen, and it is the greatest time of year. I'm Patriot Dylan. This is the YouTube channel, and this video is college football. So, we all saw the rankings from Tuesday night. Let's get the bracket up there, shall we? Number 1, Oregon. 2, Texas. 3, Miami. 4, Boise. And then, well, you can obviously see the rest. So, here's the thing. If you look up in the top left corner there, I think it's left, Georgia and Tennessee. Take a look at the path that either Georgia or Tennessee would have to take to just get to the national championship. And even with Oregon as well. Georgia, in this particular case, would have to beat Tennessee again, beat Oregon, and then beat Ohio State to even get to the national championship game. Now, when you take a look at the other end of the bracket, the lower side of the bracket, the 2 and 3, Texas, all they have to do is beat Notre Dame or SMU, and then one of the Big Ten schools, and then Miami. A far easier ask than anything that Oregon is going to have to go through. There are serious problems here with the college football playoff, and we are seeing it. We are seeing it in that bracket. The 2 and 3 seeds have a far easier path to go. Even Ohio State has an easier path to go. The only national power, the only team that matches them talent-wise that they would have to beat in order to get to the college football national championship game is either Georgia, Oregon, or Tennessee. Those are all ors. For Georgia and Tennessee, those are ands. That's the big difference. So, what's the incentive for Ohio State to go into the Big Ten championship game next week and go win? What's the incentive? Because Ohio State's got the easier path. What's the incentive for winning the Big Ten championship? And this is one of the major issues in the college football playoff, and one that I called it when they said it. These conference championship games are going to be meaningless and this is the absolute worst case scenario in this case, where you actually do not want to win the Big Ten championship because you will have the harder path in this particular scenario. If the season were to end today. And then, now for Georgia, yeah, you obviously want to win on the SEC side, it's actually flipped. Just because of how everything's laid out. Georgia wins the SEC championship game. They go on to the number 2 seed, and then all they have to do is beat Notre Dame and then Miami or one of the Big Ten schools to get the national championship game. And then Texas is essentially flipped with Georgia. Is how that would work out. So really, these are the growing pains when you have idiots who don't think 4 steps ahead when they expand the college football playoffs. You now there are now incentives to lose games in order to help your seeding and get the easiest path to the national championship game. There are a lot of things that need to be done with this, because this cannot continue. It is absolutely insane that the 2 and the 3 and even the 4 have an easier path to the national championship game than the number 1 seed. And the best way to do that is reshuffle through every round. The number 1 seed gets the lowest seed. Make it just like the NFL. Number 1 gets the lowest seed. Because, let's take a look. Take a look at that one more time. Because in this matchup, if I'm the number 1 seed, I'd rather play Arizona State. I'd rather play SMU. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. This cannot. The easiest solution is to go with the NFL style of seeding, where regardless, the number 1 seed is going to play the lowest seed or the highest seed. That's the only way to actually incentivize getting the highest seed possible. Now, that's my little rant on the college football playoff committee and all those shenanigans. Moving on to the greatest weekend in college football. Rivalry weekend. Right screen. The weekend slate, ladies and gentlemen. On Friday night, which would be tonight when this releases. Well, I guess throughout the day. You got the battle for Paul Bunyan's axe. Minnesota, Wisconsin. Noon on CBS. Granted, it has absolutely zero implications nationally, but fun. It'll be a fun game nonetheless. Battle for the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss. They need some help in front of them to get back into the college football playoff. But they have to win, first and foremost. It's in Oxford. Ole Miss should win that game. Easy peasy lemon squeeze. Although, there's a lot of things that should happen, but don't. Now, clean old-fashioned hate. Georgia Tech. It is in Sanford Stadium, good old Athens, Georgia. The line on that is Georgia minus 19. 19-point favorite over the Yellow Jackets. I don't like that spread. Every time Georgia's had that insane type of spread, they do not cover. Not even close. And I think this is going to be the exact same thing. Georgia Tech is going to play this game close. Georgia completely unpredictable on how good they are going to be from week to week. So I'm not saying that this is going to be an upset, but it is definitely going to be closer than what these experts in Las Vegas say. And then, another Big Ten favorite, Nebraska at Iowa. Two teams trying to play for what little respect that they have left. And I'm going to take Iowa. Playing Kinnick at night, impossible. Cannot be done. Cannot get out of there with a win at night. Unless you're the Iowa Hawkeyes. So, I'm taking Iowa in that game. Sorry, Gabe. Michigan at Ohio State. The marquee matchup of the Big Ten of college football. The most famous rivalry in college football. The greatest rivalry in college football. In Columbus. Ryan Day's job on the line in this game. This is everything Ryan Day has been working for 5 years at this point. 2019 was the last time Ohio State won this game. And this is and I'm going to be honest here. If Michigan finds a way to upset Ohio State, Ryan Day should be fired before he gets off the field. I don't care that he's only lost 10 games throughout his 7-8 year career at Ohio State, however long it's been, and has one of the best winning percentages in college football history. It doesn't matter. You need to beat Michigan, period. There is no other option. There is no way around it. If you cannot beat Michigan, you cannot be the Ohio State University head football coach. It is that simple. And guess what? Ohio State very well will, because they have two capable guys who can run this team flawlessly in Jim Knowles on the defensive side, and we all know Chip Kelly on the offensive side. So that's a hair trigger. Should Ryan Day lose this game? Now, the question is, does he? It's tough to say. It depends on his mindset coming into this and how he approaches that. If he approaches this full of anger and wanting to absolutely destroy Michigan and put up 100 points, they're going to get got by the counter clock. They're going to get got by the counter strike. They're going to overplay. They're going to overplay. They are going to overdo everything, and that is how Michigan will get you. And I would caution that if Jim Knowles tries to do the cover zero over and over again, like what Steve Dace of the Michigan podcast, you're on YouTube, go check him out. He's a tremendous guy. I watch him as much as I can, but I think he's wrong on that strategy of what Jim Knowles should do on that running cover zero constantly. I get that Davis Warren isn't J.J. McCarthy by any stretch of the imagination, but even a Division VI high school quarterback can throw it high and far in the air enough for a receiver to get under it with a step on the DB. And that is all it takes to blow this wide open and really begin to play the mind game on Ohio State. Because if Michigan goes up 7-0 in this game, if Michigan draws first blood with a touchdown, you very will see Ohio State begin to unravel so quickly. Because now it is a mind game with Ohio State trying to beat Michigan. And you have this lowly team who can't even get 140 yards averaging of passing per game. And they just go in there and throw a 70-yard bomb on you. Yikes. That is a recipe for disaster. So, and as much as they say, oh, it's not just a regular game, you have to treat it like it's a regular game. You cannot be going out there for vengeance. Go in there, win the game, celebrate for a day, get out. That is the most important thing for Ryan Day and the Buckeyes. Win and get out. Now, excuse me. Then we got the battle for South Kakalaki. South Carolina Clemson. Playoff implications in this game. This one is in Clemson, mind you. Number 12, Clemson. Number 15, South Carolina. Shane Beamer once again pulling the Gamecocks out of the depths of despair of being on the hot seat, only to make a late season run and potentially backdoor their way into a playoff spot, potentially. Unlikely, but it's possible. But they have to win this game, which I don't think that they do. Clemson, they have been one of the hotter teams as of late. They're just slowly building steam, coming down the tracks, trying to backdoor their way into a championship, into the ACC championship game. And if they are able to make their way into the championship game, which I believe the standings, I think they need an SMU loss, if I'm not mistaken. Oh. So they need a Miami loss. Need a Miami loss. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Where is it? And Miami's got Syracuse, so I wouldn't hold my breath on that. But hey, they are right there. They're on the bubble. I believe they're ahead of Alabama to get in. And if Clemson's able to just throttle South Carolina, they might leapfrog somebody and get in. Who knows? So I'm just scrolling through here, seeing what the next big game on the docket. Nope. Nope. Texas A&M. This game is turning out to be absolutely everything it has been built up to be. A rivalry that has been dormant for a decade, ever since A&M left for the SEC. And now it gets renewed, the battle for the great state of Texas. As A&M rolling in, coming off a loss in Jordan-Hare. Both teams need a win to secure a spot in the SEC championship game with Georgia. Georgia's already clinched. Now it's just a matter of which Texas school gets in. Quinn Ewers, he is questionable, I believe, for this game. That was last I saw. I don't think it's going to be particularly relevant because Arch Manning is every bit as billed. And I think either way, Texas is going to be just fine. So, give me the Longhorns against A&M. And of course, I might have just incidentally scrolled by the Iron Bowl. And I believe Auburn is playing to become bowl eligible. Because I believe with their upset win last weekend, that puts them at 5-6. As I continue to scroll through here, looking. Oh, yeah, 5-6. And if Auburn is, and I don't think it's impossible. It is in Tuscaloosa, but it's not impossible. Auburn, they are riding a high that could lead them right over Alabama, because Alabama has sunk so low after being embarrassed in Norman. And if you remember, when they got embarrassed by Vanderbilt earlier this year, we all thought they'd make the comeback, have a big comeback game against South Carolina and just steamroll them. That did not happen. South Carolina put up a fight for 3 quarters. And with Auburn and the energy that they have, you can't sleepwalk your way through this game. I mean, if you remember last year, with a better team, with a better coach, Auburn nearly did the unthinkable, and it took an insane drop in the bucket, throw in the corner of the end zone for Alabama to win that game. Don't be sleeping on the Tigers. This is my big upset for the weekend, and for the first time in God knows how long, Alabama loses in back-to-back weekends. Mark it. Flip it. Whatever you got to do. Give me the Tigers in the Iron Bowl. So, yeah, that's all my that's most of my big picks. I do think Ohio State does end up beating Michigan. I do want to make that one clear. I don't think I made that clear as I try to think of what I do think Ohio State wins, but it's going to be much closer. Right? It is going to be a defensive war, a field position game, and I think Will Howard is going to underestimate how crucial, how big this game really is. Got to remember, at Kansas State last year. I'm not sure how well he knows this rivalry and how important this rivalry is. And yeah, you can tell him, until you are on that gridiron, until you are on that field, and you are lined up against that winged helmet, you then realize how important this game is for both sides. And once he realizes and accepts that fact and plays loose, then it's game on. So we'll see what happens. I'm very excited for this weekend, and we'll be back next week, hopefully with a full week of shows, as I continue to feel better. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.